Hi, everybody. This is Marty Watts from American Talk It Up. And boy, do we have a special show. I have my guest today, as my co host, Ed Nunes, but we have a special guest from the suburbs of Chicago, Sean Hoffman Estates. He's one of the greatest handicappers I know of. Now, he might not think he's the greatest handicapper, but he and I have been together working, predicting horses, around horses for at least the 14 years I lived there, and I've been around him. He's been on my radio show for at least 7 years, predicting the Kentucky Derby. And this Saturday, we've got the 147th running of the Kentucky Derby. And Ed, first, I'm going to welcome to the show, Bob and Ed.
Thanks, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.
So now, Ed, this guy, Bob, is he's predicted, I think at least 4 of my radio shows, he predicted the trifecta. He's predicted 1 year you picked the power. What's the 4, the quadrant?
Very first year we did it, I gave you the pick 4.
The pick 4. And
but we can't do that because it hasn't been pulled yet.
Well, the thing about the Kentucky Derby, 1986, that was a year Ferdinand won. Remember Ferdinand, Bob?
Remember the name.
He won in 86. The reason I remember that race was I was in Encinitas on a golf course party. This guy had a big house on the 18 hole, and it was a big party, and everybody picked numbers. It was a Kentucky Derby party, and he had Kentucky Derby glasses and everything. And that was the day I met the mother of my daughter, who has a granddaughter, and she's having her second granddaughter in June. That's how I met her. If I didn't go to that Kentucky Derby party, I would never have met her. I met her, and the rest of history. Does the Kentucky Derby mean a lot to me? Because I wouldn't probably have a granddaughter or a daughter named Amy. So the race is big to me. So with that saying, Ed, do you have any questions about Bob, about horses? Because Ed's not a big handicap. Ed Nunes is about. Have you ever gone to any of the races at Albuquerque Downs, Ed?
Yes, I have. I'm not the biggest handicapper or horse, somebody that bets on horses, but I guess there's going to be a number of questions, I'm sure, once we will talk more, that would lead me to ask a question of Bob. But I think is one of the first things is, you've been doing this for how long, Bob? How long have you been handicapping horse racing?
Arlington Park used to be my customer. I used to work for John Deere Heavy Construction Equipment, so I've been going there for years. Call me an absolute regular since 1989. I don't think I'll be on opening day this year, and that'll be the first time since 1989. And I've been in 6 partnerships in claiming horses, but I've been handicapping for 30 years at least, plus 32. Yeah. And before that, before 89. But I was there when Arlington Park burned down. And then it took 2 years for it to come back, for them to reopen. And I've been all over the place. I've been to Royal Ascot, Santa Anita, the fairgrounds, Churchill Downs. So it's what I do. Is horse racing is my game.
I want to ask this question. I'm going to turn it back to Marty, but during this pandemic, how it's affected every part of sports in America and in the world, how has it affected horse racing as far as races and things like that, and handicapping, what you do, how's it affected that?
The horses still eat every morning, still work out. The crowds, of course, were suspended, and I think it's going to be 40% that will be at Churchill Downs on Saturday. But thoroughbred horse racing, they didn't cancel anything. They just kept running.
They're keeping on then. Okay.
Matter of fact, I from what I understand, from what I've heard watching other broadcasts, it's been a real boon. When people say, "What's your favorite, sports and everything?" Horse racing always comes in 4th or 5th, but it's always there. You know what I mean? Somebody says, "Oh, I like basketball, pro baseball, Major League Baseball, and thoroughbred horse racing." It's always a part of someone's sporting endeavors.
So, Bob, back in the 20th century and the 19th century, they used to call horse racing the king of all sports, right?
The sport of kings.
Sports of kings. Why was that?
because it had to be a king to buy in. Matter of fact, there's people that now that I think have a serious shot, essential quality, are owned by Godolphin, and that's the royal family of Saudi Arabia. And they've probably thrown $1 billion at this. But they have an excellent shot. I think he's the 2-1 favorite.
So this is the 147th running, and last year they ran the horse race in, was it October when they ran the Kentucky Derby this last year?
Yeah, like that, but they still ran it.
So for 100, it's older than the U.S. Open. It's older than I think the British Open. It's one of the oldest sporting events in North America. Is it?
For a while they were saying it was the oldest. It isn't. There's a horse race in Canada named after the Queen of England. But I mean, the real Queen of England, 150, 200 years ago. I don't know. But anyway, there is a horse race in Canada that has run longer consecutively than Churchill Downs, but then it's a Derby.
But in the United States, it's the oldest sporting events.
I believe that's true.
The 147th running of the Roses. Why do they call it the running of the Roses?
I don't know. They get roses on the horse when the race is over.
It's been a tradition.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess they started. But with that saying, let's talk about, and we'll talk out more history about the Kentucky Derby. Let's talk about this race. Now, you're saying right now, Jimmy, why don't you put up the post position of Saturday's thing? We'll look at the post position one by one. I think Jimmy, you're going to can you put that up there so the folks can see who is running this Saturday? Hold on, there you go. There you go. So that's the Bob. So on that list, is there anybody that is? What's the theory? If you don't get a position after 16, it's hard to win, isn't it, Bob?
Yeah, but I don't. I never count anybody out. I try not to. You're in the race. You're in the race. You can win.
So let's to the first 10 positions. Is there anybody that stands out in the first 10? Known Agenda, Like It King.
I like Known Agenda to win a lot.
So he's coming out of the first post. Is that a good position, or would he be?
No, it's terrible. And in the Kentucky Derby, it's absolutely horrible. And he has a pressing style, so he's going to have to give some energy to get out. But the thing is, there's a lot of guys that aren't going to move fast. And you have one of the great jockeys around right now, Gerardo Ortiz Jr. And I think he'll get out of there all right. His daddy's curling. And he won the Florida Derby. And to me, the Florida Derby is excellent because it's a true month away from the race. All right,
So,
you have when was the Derby here? It's March 27th. That's all the time in the world to get ready now to go run the Derby. You have all the time you want, and he's been there for 2 workouts. So he's all settled in, knows where he is. And I like him, and I think he'll be able to overcome the unfortunate post position number 1.
So out of those first 10, anybody else stands out in the first 10 positions?
Yeah, I think if anybody won the flip of the coin, so to speak, I got a good post position for their running style is number 9, Hot Rod Charlie. He's a speed horse, and the 9, 7, 8, 9, 10, or where you want to be if you're a speed horse in the Kentucky Derby because of the 20 horses that are involved in the contest. And you've got one of the great hot jockeys in the world riding him right now, Flavian Pratt, in from California, riding back with Doug O'Neill, who's Doug O'Neill's won the Derby. Doug O'Neill has a brother that I believe has picked the winner of the Kentucky Derby out of the yearling sales twice now.
So is this a Bob Baffert?
Huh?
Which one of these horses are a Bob Baffert horse?
Baffert's a here, of course, but I don't think he has any. He doesn't have anybody. Melinda Spirit, number 8. Medina Spirit, number 8, is a Baffert horse. Who's the jockey on him? Is it my paperwork here doesn't have who the jockeys are. I had to look up the others. And is that Baffert's only horse? What a disaster.
Usually he has a couple.
Yeah, well, that's it this time.
So you like known agenda coming out of the one post. You like the position that Hot Rod Charlie's in because he's a speed horse.
He's a speed horse, and since he's got the position that he wants, he's got Flavia Pratt on him. They're going to send him. He'll try and wire the field, and I will have a wager on him that he can.
So looking from the 11th to the 20th position, of course, the favorite horse is the one that's owned by the Saudis, Essential Quality. He's at 14. Is that right?
Yeah. And again, look at the team. Always look at the team. You've got Brad Cox and you've had Saez on him every single time. He hasn't lost. He's won at Churchill Downs. He's a Tappet. There's no reason. And every race he's improved every single race. He's run 69, 88, 95, 96, 97. He'll go for another 105 wires this time, and he wires this field. He can do it.
What he didn't run in the Florida Derby, right?
No.
So what was his last race?
Was it Keeneland, the Bluegrass?
The Bluegrass Stakes.
Yeah, he's won $930,000 this year, and he's only raced 2 times and won them both. That's another. I'm kind of maybe an old-fashioned guy like that, but I always like to bet the horse that won the most money too.
So why don't we go to the odds, Jimmy? This is the morning odds that came out after the post position. So let's put that up there on the board. The morning odds. Of course, this is going to change from now until Saturday.
Sure.
We'll wait until Jimmy gets that up there. So there it is. Essential Qualities 2-1.
Yeah, and that's right.
And then you got Rocky Whirl at 5-1. Known Agenda, the one that's coming out of the one position.
Yeah, I like him. And Hot Rod to win it. Hot Rod to chase. Now he's got some other speed next to him. Number the 10 horse too is a speed horse, which you as New Mexicans should like. You got Money Mike Smith on him, and we got 20-1. Let's throw Mike in there too, should we?
Our boy from Roswell, Mike Smith, he's in the New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame. I've met him 2 or 3 times. We all love Mike Smith. So he's on Midnight Bourbon. What a name. 20-1.
20-1, number 10, and throw him in. I've seen Mike Smith's one of the great athletes of our time. And
Ed, did you ever get a chance to meet Mike Smith, Ed?
I did one time. And, you know, Bob, I want to ask you, you mentioned one of the other horses is on one of the hottest jockeys, one of the in the first list of today. What do you mean by that? By people that don't know, and I'm one of them. What do you mean? What makes a hot jockey? What did you mean by that?
Well, you know, everybody has their ups and downs. Flavia Pratt's doing real well right now.
And he's riding Hot Rod Charlie?
Yes, he is. And this goes against some of the stuff that I like, but if Doug O'Neill likes it, so do I. He would know Flavia Pratt. This is all a Santa Anita outfit, okay? So always another thing I learned a long time ago, I like teams, the guys that know each other. When somebody just says, hey, will you ride my horse for me? We'll see. But these guys, they know the horse, they've been around. I saw an agent with I saw an interview one time with Pratt's agent. The guy's hysterical. It's like he never goes to sleep. He's
So Jimmy, put down Bob's name next to Extension Quality. Listen, why don't you put down Bob? That's one of Bob's pick. Let's put down Bob. Okay. And then let's put down Known Agenda. That's another Bob's pick. So we're typing it in there, Bob. So when people watch this podcast, they'll see your picks. Okay. And then let's go to Hot Rod Charlie. Okay.
Charlie gets his race, and that's why he's 8-1. If they leave him alone, if Mike Smith comes in to beat him up with Midnight Bourbon and they run fast fractions, then that helps Known Agenda a lot.
So put down Bob's pick, and that's your favorite. Should we say that's Bob Pitt's favorite?
No, my favorite's Essential Quality.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be surprised. Like that ought to be that. There's your trifecta right there. Essential, Known Agenda, and Hot Rod Charlie, and throw in Mike Smith.
So the long shot. Let's put down long shot Midnight Bourbon. Would that be a good long shot?
That's a real long shot, but yes.
But let's put Bob's pitch long shot.
Okay.
Is there another one up there that could be a long shot for you, Bob?
Tell you the truth, pal, I wish we had more time looking at all this. Super stock. Yeah. Coming out of the 18 hole, he's got a pressing style, but I never throw out Steve Asmussen at Churchill Downs and Santana's his main guy, his main jockey. If they skipped across the finish line and won, I wouldn't go, no, how'd this happen?
So that would be somebody who wants to throw a $5 on a long shot. That could be a good horse to pick.
Yeah, and another thing, guys, I don't bet like you're talking about here so much. Let's get to that. To me, the best bet there is in the world of gambling is thoroughbred horse racing's pick 3. It's relatively cheap and it can pay a bundle. So I'll be the horses that I'm saying that I like here. They'll be in my pick 3. They'll be in my pick 4. And I don't know if I'll do the 5 or the 6 yet. Like I said, we don't have all we have is the Derby here, and we have all the information we need, but it's not all on the same piece of paper.
Well, you know what? People who are watching the show, we'll put Bob's pick 3 up on our Facebook page. We'll put it up there. We'll put it up there by Saturday morning. If somebody wants to go look at Bob's pick 3, are you okay with that, Bob? If we put it up there on Saturday, if they go to our Facebook,
I'll be at trackside.
So you'll have it to me by Friday night. I'll post it. If somebody actually want to go up there, but right now your trifecta. If you had to do a trifecta, if you had to parlay a trifecta, a $1 is a $6 trifecta, the $1 bet.
Yeah, box. It'd be Essential Quality, Hot Rod, and Known Agenda. Because I don't think, let me get on here again. Hot Rod. Oh, also, I believe Hot Rod, no. Yeah, he's run he's also run the longest. And Essential Quality has run 1.1 miles the fastest. Now, I have friends of mine that boo-hoo that all the time, but I don't. When we used to claim horses, if a horse couldn't breeze 1 minute flat for 5, I didn't want him. And other partners of mine would say, well, he can. And I'd say, well, then why didn't he? All right. And all tracks are different and everything, but you still have to put it, 1 foot ahead of the other and get there.
So, so with that saying, those are if you want to go exacta, those three horses you could use any combination of those three. And then if you want to throw in if you want to box four horses, maybe you throw Midnight Bourbon in there because of Mike Smith or Super Stock. That would probably be, if you're just spending about $25, you could do a bunch of combinations here. If the average bettor goes up there, most bettors that go to on Kentucky Derby, the average bettor I read the other day is about $25 for the Kentucky
Yeah, that's
Derby.
about right.
So these are Bob's picks. Is there any other horse out there that could come in, Bob, that has a slight chance of maybe spoiling these guys? What about, you didn't say anything about Rock Your World. That's 5-1.
Where is he? 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 Rock Your World. What number is he?
He's number
Oh, here we go. 15. Yes, he is dangerous. And here's Herodes Racing. They've been around a long time. John Sadler's a first-class trainer. And they got Joel Rosario, who's one of the great jockeys, international, all-around big shots.
So,
and he's undefeated this year.
so if you're betting a trifecta, if you're boxing four horses, maybe you throw Rock Your World in there. Why don't you put that in there, Jimmy? If you're boxing four horses, put Rock Your World in there.
Here's the one thing about him, though. He won the Santa Anita Derby. That was the first time. He's the lightest racehorse. He isn't even, I mean, well, he's at Churchill Downs now. And also, he's a speed horse, and he's coming out of the 15 hole. That's a problem.
Yeah, that's, unless he gets out on the first turn, Bob, he's going to have problems if he gets caught up in the pack.
Well, the thing of it is, it's going to cost him so much energy to get there. We've all, you know, we've all played sports, right? Timing, especially in horse racing.
So explain that to Ed. If he's out of the 15 post, Ed, unless he gets out on that first turn, he has to do a lot of energy, right, Bob? And a lot of horses will spend their energy just getting in position because they're way out there on the 15 post. Is that what you're saying?
And then he's got to run 1.25 miles, and he's never done that before.
So that's why he's not in your top three.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The guy that got everything, yay, good, we're happy, is Hot Rod Charlie. He's a speed horse out of a speed slot.
So Jimmy, why don't you put up there Bob's top 5 pick? He could do it, but obviously he has too much going against him, right, Bob?
Yeah. If he had a better post position, I'd like him a lot.
So if somebody wants to play around on a $6 box, trifecta box, Ed, you might want to throw that horse in there and just one of your $6 bets, Ed.
Well, it's funny because I've got 2 friends that go to the track quite a bit, and I've been texting one of my best friends. He goes quite a bit, and I'm just letting him know some of Bob's picks. But Bob, bear with me, man. I don't know what you know, but my question is, how are post positions decided? How are they decided?
Called the luck of the draw. They did you ever shoot pool, straight pool? And the little ball comes out. Did you ever see them draw a race?
No.
It's pure chance.
Okay.
Everybody has a number, how it comes out, give me this, give me that. It's absolutely on the up and up. So nobody said, here, take care of this. And
No.
it is purely the luck of the draw. And he caught a bad one. Just like Essential Quality, their people probably went when he was number 1. They would have loved him if it would be 8, 7, 12, something like that.
Is that you, Bob? You think his odds will go up because he's coming from the 14th position?
Oh, I don't know. And we have no idea what people are talking. You know, who knows? It all comes, you vote with your money.
So if you want to do a good exacta bet, like a $20 exacta bet, I would say you bet Hot Rod Charlie and Essential Quality, like a $20. What does it cost a box of $20 exacta? $40?
$40, but I wouldn't even touch the exact in this.
You wouldn't, okay.
No, it's to me. I haven't bet a straight Kentucky Derby in years. I'll have, like I said, I'll be betting the pick 3, the pick 4, like that.
And we'll post that up on our Facebook page by Saturday morning. If people want to go up there and see what Bob's pick 3 or pick 4 is. So Bob, we're going to break for a commercial, and
Excellent.
and then we're going to come back and talk about Kentucky Derby history and some of the stories you have on the Kentucky Derby. And Jimmy, why don't we break for our sponsors? And what about, you still have the videotape on our new environmental product, AccuPure? This second, we're going to pop that up there. Just so you know, Everguard Roofing and Solar is one of our sponsors. So is Extreme Cleaning. We want to thank the boys from the roofing company, Solar Roofing and Everguard Roofing and Solar. And then we've got 66 Route 66, the restaurants on Route 66, Geckos. We've got one of my favorites, the Artichoke Cafe. And so anyway, Ed, Jimmy, are we ready for our little 30-second video spot? I'm waiting for it to come on. And hopefully
that causes COVID-19 and other pathogens are reminders that bad air can
we need
kill.
to have it popped up.
You want protection to keep you healthy and give you peace of mind, but you won't settle for just any protection. You want the best out there. Active Pure. The Active Pure system has origins in the NASA space program. It's
Jimmy,
even
we
been
need
inducted into the Space Foundation Hall of Fame. Active Pure is...
We didn't get the video screen, Jimmy. Let's see if we can get it up there for a second. If you can, then we'll go back to the show. There you go.
That causes COVID-19 and other pathogens are reminders that bad air can kill. You want protection to keep you healthy and give you peace of mind, but you won't settle for just any protection. You want the best out there. Active Pure. The Active Pure system has origins in the NASA space program. It's even been inducted into the Space Foundation Hall of Fame. Active Pure is used daily by hospitals, schools, sports arenas, restaurants, government buildings, homes, and more. So how does it work? The Active Pure system dispatches invisible supercharged submicroscopic particles at tremendous speed. The particles collide with viruses, bacteria, and other nasty things and immediately turn them into harmless byproducts. Active Pure works immediately on both air and surfaces. It comes in portable units built for any space, from gigantic ballrooms to elevators. It's affordable, easy to install, and virtually maintenance-free. It's like invisible personal protective equipment, or PPE, for you and your pets. Sounds too good to be true? Independent FDA-compliant lab testing has shown that within minutes, Active Pure neutralizes more than 99.9% of pathogens, including the virus that causes COVID-19. The Active Pure Medical Guardian, powered by the same Active Pure technology as our other products, has been cleared by the FDA as a Class II medical device. There's only one Active Pure. Beware of claims for other systems like HEPA, bipolar ionizers, and UV light. They're passive and slow. Some trap pathogens, but don't destroy them. In fact, many of them are so dangerous people can't even be in the same room while they operate. No system cleans the air faster, safer, or more effectively than Active Pure. To give your family and your customers peace of mind, choose Active Pure, protecting lives with air you can trust. To get Active Pure for your home, office, store, or organization, contact your local distributor.
And you guys, we can call 505-207-8877. And hey, Bob, this thing called ActiPure, are you there, Bob?
Yeah.
This thing ActiPure, we've been putting it into people's businesses and restaurants, and it's killing all the viruses. You plug it into a 110 outlet, it covers 3,000 square feet, Bob. And basically, I've got the ones we've done. They go nuts. It kills everything in the air within what, Jimmy, about 15 minutes or 5 minutes? I think 5 minutes, and
That's
it does
excellent.
work. And it's
About 3 minutes.
what's that, Jimmy?
3 minutes.
3 minutes, and it's and one of these devices is like buying a laptop, less than a cost of a laptop, and you plug it in. And I've had it put in a restaurant. I just got off the phone with one of the guys. He's put one in his house, his business, restaurant, and he owns a gym. He says it's killing it, kills the virus instantly. And so that's good news, because people are going to be going out to work out, Bob, and they need a place where they feel secure, don't you think? A place where
Absolutely.
we're safe. So
Yeah,
that's
I'd say especially in a gym, yes.
so anyway, call that number, Jimmy, pop up that number again. People want to call this. We'll set up a demo. It's 505-207-8877. And believe me, let's live free and thrive again, and let's reopen. And now's the time. People are getting their vaccine. I think this is the time, and this device will really help a business. And we provide a sticker to put on their building where this building is safe, virus safe.
And they can text the number, or text to the number America.
So if you go up there and text America, AMERICA, to this number, 505-207-8877, you'll get all the information you need. So anyway, let's get back to the Kentucky Derby, Bob. Of all the races, is there any memories you have? Any races that really stand out to you over the years that you luck into, or you just couldn't figure out and the horse won? You must have some great stories.
Well, I always liked the one when Angel Cordero won. I watched it on TV, and this is when I was first getting into the sport, and I knew I wanted to be involved. And what was it? The television guy, Jack Whitaker, asked him, "How are you going to run this race?" And he goes on and on and on and on and on. And I'm sitting there, maybe, I don't know. And I just said to myself, really? Really? So then he does just about the opposite. And I later saw an interview with him where his father had died and said to him, "You're going to win the Kentucky Derby." And his father came to him, he said in his dream the night before, and said, "Stay on the rail." And this was back when they had 24 horses in the race, and everybody spread out when they came into the final turn. And he stayed on the rail, won the Kentucky Derby, and I don't remember the horse. But then the guy comes up to him afterwards, with the roses, and he says, "Why did you lie to me?" And he said, "Why should I tell you I'm going to win the Kentucky Derby?" And I said, "Oh yeah, these guys, I'm off to Arlington."
So tell me about, has there ever been a horse as good as Secretaria in the last 20 years?
Nobody's run as fast, but I had a horse years ago that I liked. His name was Monarchos, and he won the Florida Derby again. And the big favorite was a horse called Point Something. Gary Stevens was riding him, and Chop Chop Chavez was on Monarchos. By the way, it's one of the worst written books I've ever read. The story of Monarchos, but it's an excellent book. The guy keeps referring to his wife as the I forget anyway, but it's excellent. And Monarchos almost beat what's her name, Charleston. He said, "I'm a big Point Given." That was a horse's name. "I'm a big Point Given fan, but watch out for Monarchos." And I was all over Monarchos, and he beat him at the wire.
I was at the track when you won Monarchos.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was with you. That was one of the Kentucky Derbies that I was hanging out with you.
Oh, all right, in Silks.
Yeah, at Silks, and I actually put $30 to win on the horse, so I remember that race. So what, Bob, what's going on with Arlington Park? People don't know this, but this is going to be the last year Arlington Park's going to be open, and it's kind of tragic. What's going on with Arlington Park?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it, and I'm sure this is a family show, so let's just let it go with that.
But anyway, it's going to be sad. We're not going to have a race.
All I know is during the racing season, they have a monopoly with 8 million people within an hour away, and they can't seem to sell a beer. So who knows?
Huh.
I don't get it. It's one of these things where I don't know. We have to.
Does Churchill Downs own a Riverboat casino? Is that what it is, you think?
Well, here's one story that's absurd. They say if they had slots and everything at Arlington Park, that it would compete with Rivers Casino, which is in Des Plaines. And my reply to that is, have you ever been to Las Vegas?
Right.
All right, the people who go to Arlington and won't go to Rivers Casino, but to play a slot machine, give me a break. Remember Vern?
Yes.
He told me one time if Arlington had, what is it, the poker machines? What are they called? Oral plays.
Video poker.
Video poker. He said if Arlington had video poker, he'd move in and never leave. He doesn't like the time in between races. Who do you like? Who do you like? But now let me get into the video poker game.
Well, here in New Mexico, our tracks do have the slots and stuff, but the one here in Albuquerque, Ed, it's separate from the racetrack. You have to go over to another building, right, Ed?
Right, you're right.
And so it's a little different, but the problem in New Mexico, Bob, we have a track in Hobbs, New Mexico, right on the border of Texas and eastern New Mexico. And then we have a track up in Farmington, right next to the Colorado border and Arizona up there. And then we have a track down Rio Dosa Downs, and they have slots. And then we have Sunland Park, where down by El Paso. And the reason why the bigger money for thoroughbreds is at Sunland Park, because it's at lower altitude. We don't get the big time horses because Albuquerque's over 5,000. And that's why, so we have a lot of quarter horse racing and a lot of 5 to 7 furlong type races here in New Mexico. You don't see. Yeah.
If you ever claim a horse, you want a sprinter because it takes the least out of them and you never want to miss a start.
And so, Bob, tell us about the first horse that you ever claimed. You had a horse that I was around. I'll never forget the name of that horse.
The Bull Bruiser.
Tell us that story.
Oh, that was fun. It was a dream come true. I remember the day I graduated from college, and my best friend was in a tavern, and he's talking to things that you might want to do. And I said, one day I have to own a racehorse. I have to. And when we claimed the Bruiser in Hawthorne for $32,000, I'll never forget it. I put, everything we're doing begins in the library, and I was in there for 2 years. I looked into it, and finally found a good bunch of guys that had been into racing before and had been owners before and everything else. One of my partners had been partners with Wayne Catalano for 10 years. And you can never go wrong with knowing the Catman.
So tell us, the audience who are watching the show, how do you claim a horse at a racetrack? What's the procedure? It has to be a claiming horse, so it can't be a non-claim. It has to be a claiming race. So how do you claim a horse, Bob?
Well, you need first you need the money, and you open an account, and then you have a trainer. And you can't take the horse home. And then 10 minutes before the race, I think it is, you have to what they call stamp and drop. It's a time stamp, and it's a real contract. You can't misspell anybody's name and that sort of thing. It has to be, right. And you stamp it and you drop it in at Hawthorne. At Arlington. It's an old wooden box. And when the gate opens up, he's your horse. You own him, dead or alive, and you don't get the money if he wins. But then after that, if other people have put in, let's say 5 people put in, and they put a number, everybody gets a number, they shake it up, one pill comes out, and that's yours.
And you've had some good luck claiming horses, and you've won. And then you've had some horses that you lost money on, right?
We started out, my original partners, Jeff, of course, passed away. We started out with about $7,000-8,000 each, and 7 years later, when Connie with a Y was claimed for $10,000, that's about what we had left. So that basically we went racing for free for 7 years. You can't be upset about that. That was fantastic.
What's the most you ever made on a race, on a claiming race?
I don't know, but what you want, if you're going to claim a horse, is you want him to have the pressing style. That means where he's, a little bit behind the leader and follows around and makes one move, because they hit the board the most. And the money is everything. Sportsmanship. It all comes down to cash.
But you've had some horses where you won some $25,000 purse, right? A few races like that.
Bruiser won for 20. Connie won. Connie was the best horse we had, and he even got hurt. But he was running 16,000, 10,000, 8,000, 10,000. But he won four or five times, I think. Connie won five races. Every jockey that ever was on him, and Jesse Campbell was on first and last, wanted him back because he tried. He gave everything he had every single time. One time he raced so hard he cracked what's called his left ilium bone, and that's like a floating rib in their rear end.
So Connie was the sprinter. He was a sprinter, right? Right.
After the Bruiser was a route horse and everything, and then we got into sprinters, and you want to stay there. You don't want to ever miss a start.
So Bob, tell us about the stuff that's behind the track. Is these chemicals they're putting in or the things they're inducing the horses, are they safe, or what's your take on that?
Well, back in the days of Seabiscuit, they used to paint a horse's tongue with heroin. All right, they don't do that anymore. Thoroughbred horse racing is as clean as it's ever been. You can feed your horse poppy seeds, and he'll test like a junkie. So everything is everything. There's we used to run. There was a thing called Winstrol V. Remember the horses? You'd see veins popping in their shoulders and stuff in the walking ring.
Right.
All right. They don't have that anymore, and every horse ran on it. Right now, I think they're trying to get rid of Lasix and everything else. I don't know how you do that, but I'm not a vet.
So explain to the average fan what's Lasix on a horse.
Oh, Lasix helps a horse. You know why you see fighters get a hit of it cleans out your lungs so you can breathe better, breathe deep, and also it defends against bleeding. That a horse will run so hard. Was it Winning Colors? Won the Kentucky Derby, and then she ran at Arlington Park, and she bled. Her career was over.
So, what's the greatest horse you ever saw live in a race?
Zenyatta at Santa Anita. That was when Mike's. We had absolutely perfect seats to see the race, and I'm thinking, how's he going to get around there? Little Mike didn't. Money Mike came through, and down the wire, and it was really something to see Zenyatta.
Did you got to see the famous cigar win the Arlington Million? Is that correct?
I was there, and Jeff and I had a whole lot of fun. To get my drift.
Cigar was one of the famous horses of all time. One of the top winners, right? Cigar.
In fact, our barn 19, that doesn't exist anymore, is on Cigar Avenue in the backstretch at Arlington Park.
And that's something I'm going to miss is Arlington Million. And that's one of the greatest races in Chicago history, and that race goes back even to the day when the Arlington got burned. They had the Arlington Million before that, right?
Bill Thayer told me he was standing next to Mr. Duchessois, after the fire, and he said, we're going to build back. We're going to run the million. He said, I thought he was nuts, but he pulled it off. It's one of the most fun days I ever had. There is a huge panoramic picture of the crowd, and I found me and Jeff Johnson in it. Yeah, I think you could buy a bratwurst or a cheeseburger, and all you could get was a beer. And there we were with a beer and a bratwurst in one hand and the other.
And they
it was
went
just
with
a
no
great,
stands.
great day.
No stands.
Huh?
No stands for that.
No, not real. They had some temporary, and that, I mean, they really, that's why I can't believe this. I never thought Mr. D would let this happen to Arlington Park. But
So
what are you gonna do?
the $1 million, that was the first, Ed Nunes, I was going to tell you, the Arlington Million was the first race where the purse was $1 million. It started in Chicago, right? First race.
That's what my friend Jeff and I said. And I told him, Arlington's my customer, and they're talking about it. And I said, you want to go to this? Absolutely. $1 million horse race, the first one ever. It was a lot of fun.
So we're going to end this segment, and I'll tell you what, Bob, is there, to me, the Kentucky Derby, and of course the Preakness and the Belmont are but I really like, I like at the end of the year when they run all the horses, at the one that you love to watch,
I like the one that I watch is the one I win.
Yes. But at the end of the year, they run all the horses for all the big purses. That's the one in October.
November, Breeders' Cup.
The Breeders' Cup. I really enjoy watching the
I've been going
Breeders'
for
Cup.
years. It is more fun than Santa Anita. Was that Del Mar down to Churchill? It's absolutely. It's one of the few. How many times in life it falls short? Breeders' Cup never falls short.
Yeah,
you
it's something
can't
to
go
watch.
wrong with going to Breeders' Cup. It's wonderful. We're going this year. We're all going.
It's going to be in Santa Anita this year.
No, I believe it's at Del Mar.
Del Mar.
Yeah.
And boy, I know Del Mar. I've gone to Del Mar many a times. That's going to be great. Matter of fact,
I'll meet you out there.
yeah, I think I would. You know what? My brother-in-law lives there. A lot of my family members live about 20 minutes from Del Mar. So I've got a place to stay. And let's see if we can hook up for Del Mar. Hey, Bob, another thing I want to talk to you about. And Ed, Bob and I are Chicago Cubs fan. And Bob, unfortunately, I moved back to Albuquerque before the Cubs won finally the World Series. But tell me what it was like being in Chicago when the Cubs won the World Series. Was it 5 years ago? How long it's been now? 5 years?
Yeah, 2000. The thing is, it was also the World Series with Breeders' Cup. And
Yeah.
I was in my hotel room, and they had a rain delay, remember?
Yes.
The last game. So the clicker wasn't working on my TV at my hotel. As far as I'm concerned, for hotels, it has to be clean and have hot water. I don't care about anything else. I got up and I put something else on the TV. And then when it was over, I put the game back on to see if they'd started yet. And there was Rizzo putting the ball in his back pocket. And I realized they had pulled it off. And I was so happy, but then I was also sad. All the guys from the neighborhood inn that had fought the Second World War, Wally and Eddie and Fast Eddie and the guys, none of them lived to see it happen. Mm-hmm. And I just felt so bad about the fellas.
Well,
but it was wonderful. It was just, well, it's about time. And I didn't jinx it either. I didn't bet it.
It was bigger than when the White Sox won the World Series, right, in Chicago?
Oh, please. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, all those old guys I knew at the taverns, they're all World War II vets. They all died before this happened. But
Yeah.
boy, you talking about diehard Cub fans, Ed Nunes. Boy, these guys lived with the Cubs every day, and you get to know these guys. You go in the tavern, you see these guys, and they all have some Cub story, something at Wrigley Field. Of course, I had season tickets for like 5 years, and I went to that
I
Bartman.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I went to the Bartman game, Bob. I think I told you about that game. And just about 2 innings before, I said to the girl I was with at this game, I said, "Hey, we're 6 outs away of winning the World Series, or going to the World Series." And sure enough, all hell broke loose.
Now I remember that guy. I couldn't believe it.
Bartman.
Oh, he should have. Well, I can't say it on television.
So Ed, just so you know, Ed Nunes is a Dodger fan. He grew up he's Dodger.
I love the Dodgers. Matter of fact, I was at Santa Anita one time, and they let you take all the beer you want from the vendor. And the guy said, "Oh, you're only allowed to take 2 beers at Dodger Stadium." And I thought, what a disaster.
Well, Albuquerque is a big Dodgers town, even though we're the AAA farm club for the Colorado Rockies. But since the Rockies don't have the tradition the Dodgers have, right, Ed?
Well, no, they haven't been around near as long as the Dodgers. In this version of the Dodgers, the 2021 version, although they've dropped 3 or 4, lost to Cincinnati last night, this team is pretty darn solid. They got great pitching, got great hitting. Dave Roberts is a good manager. I'd be surprised if they didn't win it all again. But keep an eye on the San Diego Padres. They took 3 or 4 from the Dodgers over the weekend, and that's a series that every time they play now, because Fernando Tatis hit some home runs and strolled around the base pass. That's a rivalry I think is going to be interesting to see this season. Every time they play, I'm going to watch.
Bob, let's talking about baseball. Back in the early 70s, I went back to see my aunt and uncle and some friends, and we went over to Laguna Beach. That's in Orange County, South. It's a beach town, Laguna Beach.
Mhm.
And my aunt, there was a nursery right outside of town, and it was owned by this woman named Williams. Well, she was the wife of Eddie Williams, the guy that threw the 1919 Black Sox series. And apparently they left Chicago and moved to California, and they went around. They ended up buying a nursery. Eddie Williams, Lefty Williams, that was his name, Lefty Williams.
Yeah.
He died in 1959, but his wife ran this nursery. And I met her. She was like in her 90s. I think she died in 1975, but I met her, and she was at the Black Sox. As you know, Lefty Williams was through all 3 games. He got paid. She told me he got paid $5,000. He was supposed to get 10 grand. They only paid him 5. The gamblers, and then he was going to throw the last game, the one he was threatened by supposedly the mob or somebody. She said they just said, "You better not lose. You better not win this game, or you guys are in trouble." And she was in her 90s when I met her, and she had a nursery there in Laguna Beach, California. And so I actually got to talk to somebody that was at the 1919 World Series. As you know, Ed and Bob, that's Shoeless Joe Jackson, and his lifetime batting average was .356. It's the 5th best in Major League history, and he was banned. He was banned for life. And of course there was Eddie Shucock, Lefty Williams, Chuck Gandy. Buck Weaver was the one that said he didn't throw the games, but he did take money. All those guys took money.
I'll tell you one thing you might think is funny. There was a sportscaster just retired a while back from WGN, and I was watching him reminisce. And what was that movie, Field of Dreams?
Yes.
He watched it with Leo DeRocher. And when, forget the name of the actor, gets up to bat right-handed, playing Shoeless Joe Jackson, he was so disgusted he got up and left.
There was the actor that played Shoeless Joe Jackson was Ray Liotta, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
He got up to bat right-handed, and Joe was left-handed, and DeRocher got up and left.
Leo the Lip.
I told you this in 1968. Or was it 67? I'm staying at my aunt and uncle, and my uncle owned a wallpaper factory in what's downtown Burbank, right next to the Embassy Studios. Well, anyway, there was this guy that was working for NBC, and he was at a coffee shop, and he told me that Casey Stengel lived 2 miles away in Glendale. And so the next day I go to, and I was working as a part-time worker at the wallpaper factory. So I went up to my uncle Sid. I said, "Can I borrow your card? I want to go see Casey Stengel." He's in the phone book. So I looked him up, Bob, and I drove out to Casey Stengel's house. Now I was like in 1967, I was like a sophomore. It was the summer of and I just got my driver's license. And you know, the LA traffic is terrible. It scared the hell out of me. But I ended up going to Casey Stengel, knocked on the door, and I said, "Hey, I'm Marty Watts. I'm your big fan." I got the chance to talk to him for about 20 minutes. And you know how fast I talk. His wife came over and said, "Look, Casey needs to take a nap." And that's how I met Stengel. And he died in 1971, Bob. So I went to see Casey Stengel.
Let me tell you a good Leo DeRocher story real quick if you want.
Yeah.
68? And I had a job working construction, but it hadn't come up yet. So I thought, well, I'll drive, we moved there in 66. That's from Philly. And I thought, so I'll drive a cab in Chicago and I'll learn the city a little bit. Long story, my very first fare was Leo DeRocher. And, where to? Wrigley Field, of course, up Clark Street. And I'm looking at him, and this is when he wanted Ernie Banks to retire. And I said, "My father loves that man." And he looks at my name and everything. And he goes, "Well, Bob, everybody's time comes and all that, blah, 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 blah." And I go, "Well, all right, yeah, I can understand that." I dropped him off at Wrigley, right where the firehouse is, $5 tip. And the next day or that evening on the news, everything he said to me, I bought it. He said it to the television people, and I said, "You should have given me 100." but my father loves that man. He loves everybody's time. Everybody's time comes.
So tell us about when you lived in Philly. You had a boxing story with, what was the boxing match with Ali? Or was it Frazier and Ali the story that goes back?
Well, I was in Illinois then. I thought that Ed and I were talking about this earlier. I thought Ali needed another fight before he fought Joe Frazier. And I was in a Lantern Bar in Lake Forest, and I bet everybody in the bar I took Frazier. And everybody said, "Oh, you just like Frazier because you're from Philly." And I said, "I like Frazier because of what I just told you." And apparently I had tons of fun that night. I don't remember how much I won, but my little brother, who was like 8 or 9, 10 years old, said I gave him $100 when I came home. So
what about
I must have cleaned up if I gave Richie $100.
So what was that story about Sonny Liston? You remember that story about Ali? Was it Sonny Liston or Patterson? When you lived in Philadelphia, you had a boxing story about the old boxers in Philadelphia. Maybe I'm going too far back.
Yeah, I don't remember. I never.
Okay.
Oh, that's Marty. One of the first jobs I ever had. There was a guy I knew. Anyway, we took bets for the Sonny Liston Cassius Clay fight. Liston went off at 7-1, and I had Cassius Clay, and I won a lot of money, but I didn't get paid off. Anyway.
I remember that fight, Ed. Sonny Liston nobody thought could beat Sonny Liston. He was a monster. Every fight, I mean, he just knocked everybody out. And the Floyd Patterson fight knocked him out in the first or second round. And I said, no way Cassius Clay at that time was going to beat him. And sure enough, he did.
I remember the story you're saying that you're talking about now. Bro, Ed was talking.
Yeah, that fight there, styles make fights, and Clay just had way too much hand and foot speed for the cement-footed Sonny Liston. And they go back to that fight, and they said again in the fifth round, Clay has liniment in his eyes and almost wants to quit. And Angelo Dundee pushes him out there and run. And then the sixth round, he lays them out. You're not lays them out, but just combination after combination. And Liston quit 7th round. Who said it was a shoulder? Flat out quit. Flat out quit.
I just remember it went off at 7-1, and our principal had 20 on Liston.
So that was a great fight. And then, tell us about what was it like going to Chicago Stadium before they built the United Center. Tell us about that experience. You were right on this. It was a great indoor arena because you were right on the crowd, right, Bob? Chicago Stadium.
I never went there.
You never went there for those old Blackhawk games and Bulls?
I went to a Blackhawk game one time with a guy named Bill from Boston and Danny Morehouse. Remember Danny?
Yes.
Yeah, Danny's not doing well these days.
But
I went to one hockey game of my life, and we had to go up to. We saw Michael Jordan at in Milwaukee. That was fun. But I've never seen a high school or a college basketball game, and only one pro game, and only the one hockey game. I never learned to ice skate.
Yeah,
Wow.
Growing up here in Albuquerque, I wasn't much of a hockey fan, but I got to go to a few Blackhawk games. I was very fortunate that I went to a few of those Michael Jordan teams when they won. That was probably, remember those days when every time the Bulls came on, everybody in every bar in Chicago would watch the Bulls, Ed. It was almost like a religious experience.
It was.
I'm sure.
And I mean, everybody, you could drive down the street and everybody watched the Bulls. That was when the Bulls really had that magic, Bob, right?
And the absolute, who was it? Detroit was good. The
Detroit.
Venom. It was more than the '85 Bears.
And of course, until the Bears win another Super Bowl, they're always talking about the '85 Bears. And,
That will never happen. Did you hear McMichael has LS?
yeah, Michaels.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I don't know if I ever told you this story, Bob, but I think I told it to you, Ed. Luke Longley was on the Bulls team, and he played at UNM. And I knew Luke. I wasn't close friends to Luke Longley, but I got his phone number from some buddies of mine in Albuquerque. So I called him up. I said, I would love to come to a Bulls practice. And so Luke Longley got me in at the where they work out, the Burgess Center, or what, I forgot the name of the place.
Isn't there someplace in Deerfield?
Yeah, it's in Deerfield.
Yeah.
So I went to this praxis, and Ed, I think I told you, I went there, and there's Jackson sitting there reading a book, and then there was Tex Winters actually running the praxis, and they had a scrimmage, skins and shirts. Skins and shirts, right? Inter-squad praxis. And I tell you this, it was the roughest thing. There were fights. Michael Jordan was fighting. It was so rough and physical. It was like 2 days before the game. And I mean, it was like they were fighting for blood. Michael Jordan doesn't like to lose in anything, even in a scrimmage game. And it was so physical. I said, man, is this praxis? And after the praxis, I went to Luke, and he said, Luke, Marty, this is nothing until we play the game. That's why we win. He said, our praxis are so fit. And there's Coach Jackson reading some novel or book. He was just sitting there letting them play, skins and shirts. And so I'll never forget that experience. That was the only time I went to a Bulls praxis. But let me tell you, that Rodman guy, everybody talks about Rodman, but Rodman, when he showed up to practice, he was there and he gave everything he had. And in the games, he always was diving for the ball, but he was really a crazy guy off the court. But at practice, that's why Jackson liked him. As long as you gave me 110%, I don't care what you do on your spare time. And that he was an all-time character, right, Bob? Oh,
yeah, he was too much of a character, right?
So that was one of your favorite teams, right, Ed? The Bulls?
I'm a big Laker fan, but that Bulls dynasty was incredible. And I thought Jerry Krause broke that up maybe 1 year too soon. Maybe they could have squeezed one more season out. But he told Jackson before the last season, I don't care if you're 80, you go 82-0, you're out of here. So it seemed like they wanted to rebuild quickly, but the 3 championships, the 6 championships were incredible. If Michael Jordan doesn't go play baseball, they may win they may have won 8 championships. So
Losing his dad like that,
But-
that was,
horrible.
yeah, it was.
You know, and
And then he
Michael,
has an owner that also has a baseball team.
Right.
They could go do that. But yeah, that was in the world of, yeah, that was.
So, guys, we're going to wrap this. Jimmy, we're going to wrap up our show here. I want to tell everybody we're dedicating this show to Danny Dolan. Danny will never forget you, and I'm gonna toast you tonight with a beer, a good Irish beer, and but we miss you a lot. Matter of fact, I'll toast you with the Guinness tonight. And my good buddy Danny Dolan. And Ed, you got any questions to Bob? Now, folks, we're gonna put Bob's picks up on our Facebook page. So if you want to go up there, we'll have it. So listen, there they are. There's the Bob's picks right there. I think you can get a little better screen picture, Jimmy. There it is. So we'll put that up there. There we go. So Bob likes
This is not a year of the big horse.
Yeah. So all these picks, and we'll put them up on our Facebook. And folks, I want to thank you, Bob, for coming on and telling about some of your stories. Ed, do you have any questions for Bob?
Hey, Bob, I enjoyed it. I really wish I could talk to you more. You got a lot of great stories. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
And
Let's get together sometime, and I'll tell you the ones I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I'd love to hear those.
So
your grin told me a lot about those stories. They did. I'd love to hear more. Your grin, when you grinned about those stories, there's a huge story behind it. I'd love to hear it.
The Sonny Liston action in Philadelphia is memorable. I promise you.
I bet.
It really was. I consider it my first job outside of the neighborhood. Cutting grass and babysitting doesn't count, but taking bets for the Sonny Liston Cassius Clay fight, that counted.
That was back when the mob was very strong in Philadelphia, right?
Who do you think was taking the action?
The mob.
Everybody goes to high school. You know what I mean? Yeah. My friend's father.
So anyway, folks, we want to thank you for coming on American Talk It Up. You can watch it on our Facebook page. Go to American Talk It Up and hit the like button. If you want to go to YouTube channel, go to American Talk It Up and hit subscriber. And then we'll be on the air this coming Thursday at 6 o'clock. This show will be a little edited, but we'll be on 6 o'clock on Thursday on Comcast 26. And folks, I want to thank everybody. The best gift all of us can give you is laughter and a little bit of love. It doesn't cost you a dime, right, Bob?
You got it.
So, folks, thanks a lot. We'll see you next time on American Talk It Up.
Can you do me a favor now? Are you off?
No, I think we're still recording, Bob. Just a second.
Well, I thought you said you edited everything.
There we go.
Oh, okay. Can we talk now off the air?
Our music should come on here in a second. I guess.
Oh, okay.
We're done. All right.